Hi Frankston High School Create and Bake students. So today I am going to show you how to make raspberry and white chocolate blondies. If you don't know what they are, they're like a brownie except we're using white chocolate rather than milk chocolate or dark chocolate. Quite nice to eat, pretty easy to make, so I'm going to show you now. So what you need first is 115 grams of butter, which I have weighed up and put in my saucepan. I am going to put that on to melt on my stove. I've also put my oven on at 180 degrees, just over here. Good idea to keep an eye on your butter. Just keep checking it to make sure that it doesn't melt we want it to melt, but we want to keep an eye on it that it doesn't burn while we're melting it. That makes sense. The other thing you need is a cup of brown sugar. So when you weigh up your brown sugar, you want to make sure that you pack it in nice and firmly. So grab your knife and just pat it down so it's nice and firm. The other thing we want is a cup of plain flour, and again pop it in, grab your flour and just smooth it up. You want to make sure that you get the right amount because you don't want your product to become too dry and you don't want your product to be too wet if you don't get enough. The other thing we need is half a cup of raspberries, which I've weighed up there, and we need an egg, which I've popped there. We also need 125 grams of white chocolate. I am just going to use what's left in this packet, which could be less, could be more. For this recipe, I don't think it's really going to matter too much. What I am going to do, I'll just move you down, is that I am going to use the cross chop to chop up my chocolate because I don't want big, thick, chunky pieces of chocolate. So you just put your hand on one end of the knife and just cross chop back and forth, drag it in until your chocolate is nice and fine. This is a really easy way to chop up ingredients and you've got less chance of actually cutting yourself, which is always a good thing. Alright, bring it in, chop it across. I'm just going to check my butter to make sure it's okay. Melting just nicely. Alright, just finish chopping this off for you. You want to make sure most of the pieces are nice and even. Doesn't have to be perfect, but it does help that they're all similar in size. Alright, that's done nicely for me. So what I'm going to do is grab my melted butter. So it's melted very nicely for me. I'm going to pop my brown sugar into my bowl and just break it up a little bit. And then I'm going to add my butter to my brown sugar. Once that's added, I'm going to give it a really good stir. And you want to stir it up until it's sort of nice and creamy and it's melted the sugar a little bit. And it looks quite nice and smooth. So if you can see that, it's kind of got that look about it. Once that's done, I'm going to grab my sieve and I'm going to add my cup of flour. Now I'm sieving it in because one, I want to make sure there's no lumps in the flour, and two, I just want to add a little bit of air to it so that when it's in the oven it rises. I also need to add a pinch of salt, but I don't have any cooking salt, so I'm just going to use some Himalayan salt, and I'm just going to give that a little bit of a quick twist in there. I'm going to add my egg. Alright, I'm going to give that a really good mix, and just to bring it all together. Hopefully you can see that. You want to make sure that you get all the lumps out of it, and you want to make sure that your mixture's nice and smooth. Alright, so it's looking pretty good now. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my raspberries. I'm going to add my white chocolate. Hopefully I've recorded this because I made a whole slice before and forgot to press record. So now we're lucky at my place we have 2 raspberry raspberry blondie slices. God, I can't even talk today. So just fold all that through. You don't want to over mix it. You just want to mix it through so it's nicely separated through in there. You're then going to line your cooking tray. Now you want to make sure that when you spray your cooking tray, you spray it over the sink. Alright, that way you don't get all the cooking spray on the floor and slip over. And I'm sure while it would be funny for you to watch me slip over, I don't really want to slip over. So I've lined my baking tray with some baking paper. I'm going to pop my brownie slice in here, a blondie slice. I keep saying brownie. Use your spatula to smooth it all in there nicely because you don't really want to waste any of it. And I just popped it on the floor, which was not very clever. But hey, good cook, messy cook. But no, do try and keep it nice and clean. Try and clean as you go as well. It's always good to taste your mix because you want to know what it's like before it's cooked, and then you want to know what it's like after it's cooked. Grab a spatula or a knife or a spoon and just spread it out, and then that's going to go in my oven at 180 degrees for about 20 to 30 minutes. My oven cooks quite warm, so I sort of tend to turn it down a little bit lower. Once that's done, I'll bring it back out and I'll show you how to plate it up and present it and decorate it in a really nice way. Okay. Okay, welcome back. My blondie slice has come out of the oven, cooked up quite nicely. Hopefully you can see I've cut it up a little bit. So what I am going to do is show you how to plate it up so that it's ready for presentation. That's one I did earlier. So I'm just going to bring it down here. Hopefully you can see that nicely. So what I did is I put a little bit of jam in a little bit of a paper bag, but you could use a plastic bag. Just pop the jam in it. And all I'm going to do is just put a lump of jam at the top of the board there. Just going to pop it all in. You could use strawberry topping. I've just used jam. I've got a pastry brush. And all I've done is just gone back and forth on my chopping board to give it a nice red stripe for the brownie to sit on, if you can see that there. Alright, then I had some little silver and gold and white sprinkles, and I'm just sprinkling them across the jam to give the board just a little bit of colour as well. I grabbed a strawberry and I'm just fanning my strawberry by just cutting it into 4 pieces and then opening it. You don't cut it all the way through, you just cut it nearly to the end so that you can fan it out. And I'm just popping that on there to give my board a little bit of decoration as well. I'm going to take my slice of brownie. Actually, I think, yeah, I'm just going to put 2 on there. So 2 slices of brownie on there. Oh, brownie, blondie. I keep saying brownie. It's actually blondie. I'm going to put a 3rd bit on top. And then all I'm going to do, I'll turn that round so that you can see it, is I've got a tea strainer, which I put in my icing sugar. And I'm just going to pop a little bit of icing sugar on the board just to give it a little bit of colour so that you can got something really nice to serve up at the dinner table. So there you go. That is our blondie slice. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope to see you make it and send some photos to us of your nice blondie slice plated up as well. All right, thanks guys. Bye.